once again with Alan Bays. As always,
Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you. And we're going to talk about today making money and using magic, hypnosis, mentalism, whatever the case may be, whatever you guys are into, and being successful at it and monetizing a dream and making it so you can make a living off of doing what you guys want. And if you're making money doing what you love, then they say you don't work a day in your life.
So everybody loves money. So the first thing that you want to do is, that everybody has to understand, is be good at what you do. That goes without saying.
Oh yeah.
You have to be good at what you do.
Be great at what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Become a marketable commodity.
Yes.
If you want to be successful into turning this into a business and a money-making venture, of course you have to be good. You have to
develop it into a strength.
With
strength comes leverage.
Absolutely. And aside from that, get yourself out there. Mm-hmm. Perform. Let people see you. Have your business cards. Have your websites done up if you really want to go hardcore mainstream.
Shameless self-promotion.
Absolutely. Don't be afraid to say, hey, this is what I am. You want to book me for a show? Here you go. Get your business cards in their hands. There's tons and countless ways and tricks that you can learn out there from DVDs as far as getting your business card in their hands. But if nothing else, at the very end, you're at a restaurant, you're performing for somebody at the movie theater line. Give them your card.
Right.
Hand your card out. As you were doing tonight that I saw you do, you put your business cards on the table when you were performing, and people just came up because they started.
I didn't even think about that. Like, the plan was to have them out just so I didn't have to pull them out later.
Absolutely.
And I was going to hand them out, but people just took them without me even saying anything.
That's right. And you never know who's grabbing your card. This could be the next person that's going to hire you. This could be the person that's going to champion you and go talk about you to everybody else. And they say, this is his card. And before you know it, somebody's going to say, I want to experience that. I want to see what he did.
And business cards are really cheap if you look at the right places. I got like 1,000 of those cards made for $48. And they're double-sided, great design on them, incredible deal.
Yep, great looking card.
Yeah,
it's a card that people are probably going to want to hang on to. Be creative with your cards.
You can do torn and restored card effects with your business cards.
Absolutely. Get them in their hands. If you're performing a card to wallet that's going into an envelope and you hand the envelope out, have a business card that's already preloaded in that envelope. As you pour the card out to show that there's signed cards in there, show them there's two things in there. There's my business card because you're going to want it after this.
Right.
And then you show them their card. Shameless self-promotion, you hit the nail on the head. Get your information out there. If you want to go ultimately mainstream, find out where in your area is a good opportunity for you to perform. A mainstay for a lot of magicians has always been doing restaurant magic. Mm-hmm. Finding a place. Now, what I want everybody to understand is you're not going to make egads of money working in a restaurant, but you have to go with the proper mindset. The reason that you're going into having that restaurant gig is not because of the money that you're making. You'll make some, but that's not the point. Some places will allow you to make some money on some tips, which you can do okay with. But again, the reason you're there at the restaurant should be that's where you're able to showcase yourself.
And I've heard that, like, when you're doing restaurant stuff, you shouldn't accept tips because it might be frowned upon by the business owners.
Absolutely.
In some aspect.
And here's another tip, guys. If you're working a restaurant and you land a gig and somebody, even if the management allows you to collect tips, here's my personal advice for you. If people want to tip you, redirect that tip to the waitress or the waiter at the table. You want to keep that waiter and waitress happy because they can make your life miserable working at a restaurant if they feel that you're taking something out of their pocket. You're there to make connections. You're there to network. You're there to get your business card into the hands of as many people as you can. So they're going to want to hire you for private parties. That's what you're there for. You want to get the outside work. You want to get those parties. You want to get those gigs. And you will. You will. It's simply a numbers game. You get your information out in front of enough people, statistics alone are going to tell you you're going to pick up gigs. And it's a great way to get your information out there. The next thing I would tell you is figure out who it is that you want to work for.
Right.
What's the demographic?
Do you want to do birthday parties? Do you want to do graduation parties?
That's
Do you want to do little kid parties? Are you set out to be this clown, or are you exclusively a magician? If you are, what kind of magician are you? Are you the top hat cliche, white glove, rabbit out of the hat magician, or are you the mysterious, close up, more adult themed type magician?
Absolutely. Don't. If you want to go after kids parties, find the restaurants that have a lot of kids, that cater to the kids, the Chuck E. Cheese's, these types of things, the TGIFs that have kids, a bunch of family people coming in. If you want to perform for a more elite clientele, a more corporate America type people, go to the higher end restaurants where they're more likely to fit in. Now, keep in mind, guys, depending on what your age is, your age will play a factor in the type of venues that are going to be suitable for you. If you're 13, 14 years old, obviously you're not going to be working at a high-end steakhouse that have a bunch of corporate people there, that you're going to go work for big corporations and do a show. And
even necessarily the idea of like a 13, 14-year-old, like you guys, 13, 14-year-old, you guys should not be even thinking about money right now. Money is the lowest intrinsic value form that value can take. Money is just paper, and you don't need it right now. Just focus on having a good time, learning your craft, learning this art, and then once you develop into a strength, then you can worry about that. But right now, you shouldn't even be thinking about this for more to plant the seed in your mind for the future. Oh, and also targeted towards the older audience of just like what are the steps? I mean, you say go into the high-end restaurant, and sure, that's easy to say, but at the same time, it's just like, what do you say? Like, will you just go into a steakhouse and be like, go up to be like, hey, can I talk to a manager? Hey, manager, I'm this crazy magician. Let me show you this trick. And then you happen to blow, like, what is like step-by-step kind of process to getting a gig like that? And what do you look for? Like, what if, what kind of restaurants would be more susceptible for a walk-around magician?
Sure. I have found the best way to do that, I would never cold call or somebody walk in somewhere and just walk up to the manager and say, hey, I'm a magician, you want to hire me?
Right.
That's bad news. What you want to do, and it's the same thing we've talked about in some previous videos, you want to incorporate a transformation mechanism. You want to get in and, if it's the restaurant, meet some staff like you did tonight at the Buffalo Wild Wing place. Let people see you. Let the manager see you. A trick that, as a matter of fact, when I got the Willikers gig back in the Fresno days, I walked in that place and I started doing some magic at the bar for the bartenders. And before you know it, they're calling over the rest of the staff. They're calling over the manager that wants to see what I do. And I simply made a little statement. I said, this reminds me of a bar that I used to do magic in.
Oh,
as a job. And
is that a true story?
That's a true story.
Okay.
That is a true story. And he said, wow, you do magic places? Well, we never thought about that. You should think about doing that here. Are you interested? And that led into a conversation. And before you knew it, the following weekend, I was doing magic at Willikers.
Awesome.
But let people see you. Let people know what you do. Let people like you before you ever start talking about business. And then when it comes around, offer them a free night.
Offer them a free night.
Offer them a free night. Say, hey,
for how many hours, and just
a couple hours. Pick a night that isn't maybe that busy. And get in there and say, hey, let me come in, no risk to you. Let me do some magic for a couple hours. Let's see how people respond to it. And if you don't like it at the end of that, you don't like the idea, no problem, we part ways. But if you do a good job, remind the people that you do the magic for, if they liked your show, go ahead and tell them, hey, if you like this, do me a favor, stop by and let the manager know on the way out.
Nice.
These little tricks that's going to reinforce the value, because you got to keep in mind, guys, restaurants, managers at restaurants are there to turn tables. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately what it is.
In and out.
In and out. Get the next people on the table, get their food, get them out of there.
Yeah.
What is your value to that type of environment? What are you bringing to the table? There's all kinds of tricks in restaurant magic that help the process of that restaurant along. All the way to the point, keeping the customers that have been waiting for their food.
Right, a little distracted.
If they get to sit there for 45 minutes wondering, my food still isn't here, if you get inserted in there and you say, hey, I'm going to do my thing, perform, before you know it, the time's going to be soaked up.
Yeah, it feels like 6-7 minutes.
Then their food hits the table, and there you go.
Thank you guys so very much. Enjoy your meal.
Absolutely. By the way, guys, when the food gets there, stop doing your magic.
Yeah.
It's time to finish. Let people have their meal. All right, but it's little nuances like that, little tricks of the trade that you learn. There's great information out there, by the way, in restaurant magic. Jim Pace, I think, put out a nice book on restaurant magic, the Restaurant Magician's Handbook, I believe it's called. Lots of good tips and tricks out there, all the way down from how to approach to getting the gigs, to how to approach a table the right way. There's all kinds of little things out there that'll benefit you guys.
Awesome. Now, as far as like the brass tacks, as far as like restaurant magic, what like age demographic would you say is a good to if you are a magician? How old should that time be? Like, how old should you be? Like 15, 16, like summer job? Like, when's the time to do it?
Sure. You know, it really depends on the venue.
Okay.
You know, but if you're going to move into a family restaurant like a Chuck E. Cheese, for example, sure, you know, 14, 15 is a great age to step in. The thing you guys have to keep in mind is there does come a point where whether or not your audience is going to take you seriously.
Right. I've talked about this too. Like,
sure,
17 years old, that's about when people start to like accept you.
Absolutely.
17, 18 years old.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially when we're moving into the realms of like mentalism. If you're 14 years old and you're showing up saying, "I'm going to read your mind," you know, they're just not going to take you seriously.
Right.
Doesn't matter how good your technique is, you know,
right,
or your skills, and that's just the reality of things. But let that be a lesson. Take your time, learn your craft, hone your craft.
You guys got plenty of years.
When the time is right, go after it.
Absolutely. So, what was So yeah, that's as far as like magic or Chuck E. Cheese and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But for restaurant magic, what would you say is one of the things that might be tough to talk about is the business side? Is this like negotiating pay? Is this like X amount of dollars per hour? Is there like an average amount? You said do a free night, but when it finally comes time to, I can't be doing this for free anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, what is like the average for like the general average for magicians in your experience that you've known from?
Sure. Well, I've seen it vary widely depending on where I've gone and where I've been. Keep in mind, my restaurant magic days was fairly short-lived before I moved into more mainstream, bigger things. However, my duration during that time was very profitable for me. Everybody wants to know, how much should I charge? We hear that all the time.
Oh yeah. And everything's different too, from restaurants,
absolutely,
different weddings, different kind of parties. So just kind of dive into like all different realms of it. So
sure.
Everything is different.
Sure. For a restaurant, a typical restaurant, now you're also going to hear a lot of people say, charge whatever you feel you're worth.
Right.
Well, if I feel I'm worth $1,000 an hour, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get $1,000 an hour
exactly.
from a restaurant. That's just impractical. It's just not going to really happen. Do your research. That's the first thing I would say.
Yeah.
Okay. Even before I would walk in and approach a restaurant manager about doing magic there, I'm going to learn a little bit about that restaurant first. I'm going to visit the restaurant. I'm going to check out what their busy times are. I'm going to see what their weaknesses are. Because when I sit down and finally have that conversation with a manager, I want to let them know, hey, I got your back. I know what's going on here. And more specifically, this is how I'm going to benefit you.
Right. At anything in general, it's always important to look at the benefits of what you can provide versus the features. Oh, what are your features? I'm a magician. Okay. What are your features? I can entertain people. Okay. Well, what are your benefits? Oh, the benefits are I can keep your customers entertained while their food's about to come out, and it'll make their time go by that much faster, and if it's taken a while, they won't complain, and they'll be happy to be waiting because they'll be entertained. Okay, now you're starting to speak my language.
You're going to want to make it all about me, and my magic, but realize you're there to help the flow of the restaurant as much as possible. What is your benefit? Something that you never want to tell them is, I'm going to guarantee you're going to get more business because I'm here. All right, that's a huge mistake that a lot of guys want to open up with, and that's a mistake.
Right.
Don't do it, because the instant that you don't provide that benefit, you're out the door.
Done.
All right, so you're not there. What you are there is to help that management provide the customer a unique experience and to keep those customers happy, whether that's I'm waiting 45 minutes for food that still hasn't gotten there. You want to get in there, distract those people, keep them entertained until the food does arrive. It may be a large line of people outside of the restaurant that are waiting to get in.
Oh, yeah.
The number one thing the restaurant does not want is for those people to walk away and leave and go to the restaurant down the street.
Right.
Okay, that doesn't help business. If you're out there, you keep them entertained, you're helping that restaurant retain those customers. That's a direct benefit.
There'll be a lot of times, that's a perfect example for you guys to practice your magic. If there's a line for something, if you're at a theme park, or if you're in your restaurant, or if you're at a club waiting in line, that's the prime time to be practicing something. Anytime there's a line, you're surrounded by people. It's just like, man, you just look to the person behind you or tap them on the shoulder in front of you and be like, hey, I'm bored. This is just like, I want to speed this time up. I'm a performer. I'm a magician. So can I show you guys some magic tricks?
Absolutely.
And I've gone to clubs and I'll want to perform magic and I'll just go to the line of the bathroom, because the bathroom, there's always a line, and that's the best time to just kind of like warm up a little bit. And so it'll benefit in restaurants hugely, because now people are like, I don't know, it sets the mood for like their dinner, for their
Absolutely.
meal.
And if you want to get the attention of the restaurant, what better way than to automatically start by entertaining their guests outside?
Yep.
If you eat there regularly, you go there regularly. If it's a restaurant you really want to be a part of and you want to do magic for, I'd be going there on a regular basis when there's lines outside and doing magic for people. Sooner or later, management's going to take notice.
Right.
They're going to hear about you. And they're automatically going to see the built-in benefit.
Right.
Before
Absolutely.
you even talk about hiring you. What should I charge? What should I charge? And the very first thing I would tell anybody to do is do their research. Understand the market that you're looking to work in. See if you can find out from some other magicians, or sometimes if it's a big corporate chain type restaurant, for a prime example, they'll tell you, like TGIF Fridays, for example. I know for a fact there are guys, they bill them about pay them about $100 a night.
Oh, okay.
To go in for a couple hours and do some magic.
Roughly average $100 for a couple hours in restaurants. What about things like weddings and because I know the higher up the hierarchy
Sure.
it gets, more expensive, the more valuable you become.
Absolutely. You know, if you're out doing, you get spin-off work. We call it spin-off
Birthday
work.
party, kid party.
Yeah, so you do birthday parties. I mean, depending on how in demand and how well known you are, because guys, remember, word of mouth, the more well known you are, the higher your price tag is going to be.
The higher value you are.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's just the reality of
the
the
more
business.
scarce you seem.
Absolutely. If you're in demand, or you seem in demand, you're going to be able to demand a higher price tag. You know, I've known kids magicians that have gone out for birthday parties that have made $100 for a show to go do an hour. Now, in reality, $100 an hour is pretty good money.
Oh yeah.
You know, if it's something local to you and you get to go out and do a birthday kids party for an hour, get $100, that's cool.
Why not?
The average, some kids magicians that I know are charging in upwards of between $500 and $1,000 for a kids party.
It's for a kid's party.
For a kids
And
party.
how old would you say those magicians are?
They're in their 20s and 30s.
Okay. Cool.
Sure, on average.
Yeah.
Some even more.
And that's for a couple hours.
Sure.
Worth of magic.
You know, usually for a kids party, you're there for 45 minutes to an hour.
Right.
That's a good average.
Short attention span.
Sure, exactly right. You know, kids want it's very quick. You know, and the magic that you do for kids. Now, make sure, guys, that if you want to do a kids party, that your magic is appropriate for the age of
Right.
children that you're doing magic for. Because let me tell you, kids are the hardest to misdirect. You know, you do the French drop and you go look, and it's going to be the kid that says, no, the coin's in the other hand there. They're not thinking through logical adult thought process. If I make this movement, the coin should be here. You know, that's what the logical mind thinks. Kids will see right through that. They'll look at exactly what you're doing and they'll bust you.
It'll make it has to be flashy.
You know,
and like
it does. You have to do the fun things. You have to produce the rabbit. By the way, that's an additional charge. You
Right.
know, if you're selling a show and you want to do the kids show and say that's an upsell, that's an upgrade. Well, if you want the live rabbit magic from a hat, that's this much more. But you don't really need that if you don't want that. But they're going to automatically connect the dots. No, my kids, they want to see a rabbit out of a hat,
Right.
and they're going to pay that little bit extra.
Now
You
you're
know,
working with
but
animals.
if you're doing a kid's birthday party, if you want an average, just based on my experience and what I've known, $175 to $300 range.
Yeah,
is
and
a
like,
good
and like I said, comes down to, again, doing your research in your area. You guys are all over the world, all over the planet, so price range might be different. So do your research. This is just like from your experience,
Exactly.
and times have maybe even changed since like back when you were doing restaurant. So
Sure.
who knows? And now for like such things such as weddings.
Yeah, moving into weddings and this type of private party, as we call it, is demanding a much larger price tag.
Right.
Again, guys, the prices here vary, but in my experience, if you're going to get hired for a wedding, you could easily move in and start charging on the low end of things, $350 for the first hour, $250 if they want to add an hour on top of that. All right, so when you're moving into $600, $700, $800 for a couple hours of magic at a wedding,
right,
or at a private party, that's pretty good money. That's pretty good money for a day. Drive out, get to do something that you love doing for a couple hours, make really good money doing it.
And now these corporate events, this is more for the age range of like the advanced, like people have been doing this for the better part of like 10 years, 15 years or so.
For sure. The first thing I'll tell you about the corporate market is the corporate market wants somebody that they can relate to, that looks like them.
Now, why do corporate events, these busybodied, suit and tie people, why do they hire magicians? Why do they hire hypnotists? Like, what benefits does it bring to them? It's just like, is it for clientele purposes? Like, why do they do that?
Sure.
I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's entertainment. When you got to keep in mind when corporations are having big corporate meetings and they're in there talking about serious business, whether this be we're going to talk about improving your sales techniques. It's all shop. I mean, corporations will come into a town like here in Los Angeles and have a 3-day conference, which is nothing about, that's everything about, business and getting down to brass tacks and studying. You have to have something that's in there to break up the monotony. And the biggest reason I think, especially for like a hypnosis show or a big scale show, is to unify the group. Right? They'll bring somebody like me in to do a hypnosis show, and I bring unity. I get the entire audience involved in the show. They all become one.
Right.
Okay, and that's important. It's team building. It's getting everybody in sync
on the same
with
page.
One another.
Exactly.
And that's an important benefit for a corporation to bring to a crowd. It's to break up the monotony. That's to provide that little bit of entertainment.
Interesting. Okay, so now I can see why I would charge, why you would ask for like more upscale, because there's so many things going on subconsciously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, corporations can afford to pay you the good money. So, corporations are big league. They don't want the cheap guy. They don't want the cheapest guy out there.
Right.
They want somebody who's established, that's good. And the money that you charge will be in direct relation to how good you are and how demand you are. Now, guys, if you offer them a show at $500, they'll take it. They'll take it, but there's no need. Understand what your market is. Understand who you're working for, and frame your prices accordingly. And it's going to take a little bit of research, guys. Regardless of where you are, here in Los Angeles is going to be a whole lot different than Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Right.
Doing a show. It's just a completely different animal.
And all shows specifically in general, like would you say you could almost do the same show for each thing? Is like 45 minutes to an hour long, even for the corporate shows?
Sure.
And so what would like the upward cost average amount be for like a corporate show and then what would be the average like time frame for it? Again, do your research.
Absolutely. Do your, be prepared. Know what you're talking about before you talk. Because corporate buyers are sophisticated buyers. They know what they're looking for. They know what the averages are. They know all about the business,
right?
About what we're looking for. So keep that in mind. Know what you're talking about before you go in there, because they will spot it if you don't. All right. An average corporate show is generally 45 to 60 minutes long.
Okay.
On average. Now corporate shows are very structured. They have very specific blocks of time. So if they tell you, I want you to do a 45-minute show, that means I want a 45-minute show, not a 46-minute show. Okay. Everything is on an agenda. It's very locked down. I've been hired, and sometimes you'll come in to do a 15-minute presentation at a corporate show that's paying you very good money for that 15 minutes. A lot of bonuses and perks to working corporate shows. All of your expenses paid. First class travel. Limousine picks you up at the airport. Gives you a 5-star suite to stay in while you're in town.
Wow.
There's a lot of benefits on top of the paycheck.
Wow.
Paycheck can vary greatly depending on what type of show you're doing. For a good close-up performer that wants to go work a corporate event, whether you're doing a cocktail party, a cocktail reception type show, you can easily walk in and make $1,000 to $1,500 as a close-up magician.
As a close-up magician.
To work for an hour or two. Very easy. A lot of the guys do it all the time. If you're going to move into bigger type shows, stage presentation shows like mentalism and hypnosis shows, that demands a much higher price tag.
Yeah, you were telling me the average amount could be like upwards of like 7 times the amount that a
Absolutely.
magician gets.
Absolutely.
That's another good reason that could benefit to learning hypnosis and mentalism is just, I said it before, the price tag difference. I mean, yeah, magic is, it's something not everyone can do, but I feel hypnosis is really something that not everyone can do.
Absolutely. And there's just a lot more prestige. Don't get me wrong, guys. You can be fantastic close-up magicians that are just incredible to watch. But there's a lot more prestige attached with being a hypnotist or a mentalist. It is what people's perception is of you.
Right.
And what you're capable of doing. At the end of the day, when you're doing magic for people, as entertaining as it is, they're going to realize that there's some sleight of hand technique skill involved, some trickery, going on. At the end of the day, that's just the way it is. With hypnosis, with mentalism, there's a different type of phenomenon that's happening. And people see it differently, completely differently. And they're much more willing to pay those high price tags for that type of show. And if I were to pick an average, just to toss out an average from my experience, an average fee for a mentalist or a hypnotist to go in and do a show, probably somewhere around the $5,000 price range.
In corporate event.
To walk in and do a show for an hour.
Fascinating. You have friends, people that do just like 2 shows a week.
I do.
And
that's their life. Yep.
That's it. And they're just rolling and they set their own schedule. They could be doing 30, 40 shows a month.
Sure.
Could just be doing 2 shows a week.
Sure. And there's a lot of guys out there in the big leagues that are demanding $10,000 to $15,000 paychecks for an hour show.
Wow.
Guys are at the top of the food chain, but they get to work as much as they want. And the beauty of being able to follow the philosophy, which is a philosophy I love, make more, work less.
Oh, yeah.
That's certainly my philosophy. And the more that I'm able to do that and be able to have more time, it's about freedom.
Right.
Be able to have more time for myself and my own loves in life and be able to go do those things.
Right. So what it really comes down to make money in this industry is like to get to the point where you can work less and make more and live your dream lifestyle is to practice. A lot of you guys are watching this while you're 12, 13. Some of you guys a little bit older. Some of you guys inexperienced. A lot of you more experienced. Just got to practice and learn as much as you can. It's the catchphrase, the slogan that Disturbed Reality has. It was designed very purposefully. Be inspired to learn. And that's what we're trying to do is just like the idea is throwing numbers out here, $5,000 for an hour. That should inspire you like crazy. That just fascinates me sitting here. And just to get yourself closer to whatever it is that you do want to do. And whether it's in magic or not. And learn as much as you can about as much as you can. And then you'll develop it into a strength. And with that strength comes leverage. And that leverage will speak for itself. Focus on the benefits of things. That's the biggest thing. And like you're saying, you said, do the first things for free. And get over this whole monetary value of money. Money is the lowest intrinsic valuable thing. There's no value within itself. It's just paper. Give as much value as you can to other people without worrying what you might get back in return. The more you help other people get what they want, then eventually you'll get what you want.
Yeah, the best way I have found personally, the best way in life to get what you want is by helping other people get what they want. That's absolutely true. We are providing a service, a commodity. When somebody hires us, why is it that they're hiring us? Is it because they want to see cool magic? No, that's not why they're hiring us. The reason they're hiring us is because they have been tasked to acquire entertainment for their event.
Right.
Okay. They have been told, go find somebody that's good, that's going to come in here and perform for these people, make everybody happy. That's why they're hiring you. They want to know they're making the right decision. They want to know that they're making a safe decision with you, that you are a good performer, that you're not going to let them down. People's jobs can be on the line.
Right.
If they make the wrong decision and bring the wrong type of entertainment in for an event. But they are hiring you because they have a problem. And you're there to solve their problem. Yeah. I'm the entertainment. I'm the guy that you're looking for. I'm the guy that's going to come in, make your event, your show a success. Everyone's going to love it.
Relieve all the stress away from you.
That's right. I'm here to help you out.
That's the mindset you got to have. So I hope that hearing about some of these monetary values and like that's a lot like what I was interested in growing up in is just like, and just as a business person, my mentor David D'Angelo taught me that to master marketing, self-marketing, and if you can sell something, especially face-to-face, like if you can do that, that's like one of the most powerful traits that you can have. And I'm still like trying to perfect that art of just like promotion and selling face-to-face. But marketing, look into marketing, research, do your work, find out what your worth is, and then it'll all once they say once the money arrives, it'll just barrel through like a waterfall, and you'll be sitting there and thinking, where has this been my whole life? And but until then, it's an uphill climb that you guys have to do.
If you're good at what you do, you're passionate about what you do, the money will come. It will come. But there's no magic bullet, guys. There's no overnight sensation success that you're going to be able to chew.
There's no pill you can take.
It's going to take work. It's going to take perseverance. It's going to take dedication. And as long as you're willing to do those things, the benefits will follow. There's an old saying to sound very cliche that I heard a long, long time ago that sticks with me to this day. And it's something along the lines of, when the student is ready, the master will appear.
Yeah.
And it will happen. It will come when it's time for it to come, and when it does, you will reap the reward of all the work that you put in.
Absolutely. I think, yeah, this has been great. It's helped me a lot. I hope it's helped you guys a lot. I think we've covered a lot of extremely valuable things here. If you got any value out of this, make sure to like this video, as well as subscribe to How to Disturb Reality, as well as my Evan Cloyd channel, updated with daily vlogs. Check out Alan Bay's website, alanbays.com. Hypnosis.
With a lot of muscle.
With a lot of muscle. Other than that, be inspired to learn and aspire to disturb. And always rise above.